别瞎吵吵，只有中国人民解放军才能保卫台湾。
我看了那个网友的反应说他是东北营。
东北营，
这个大概是东北话吧？他那个用那个字是写一个经营的营。尤其你有没有看到我们的那个播音的那位年轻的同志，他不讲完就没了。对，就变成越来越没火气啊！你就越来越习惯。
Мы, оказывается, вот так опа, имеем. Благодаря, блядь, контролю, блядь, за интернетом американцами, нахуй, это уже, блядь, длится, нахуй, с 90-х годов. У нас поколению внушили, нахуй, что у них все там заебато, все охуенно, рай на земле, светочи демократии и все дела, нахуй. Самые крутые в мире, блядь, леопарды, блядь. Это пиздец, это супер техника. Ихний Патриот, нахуй, в жопе, нахуй. А у них она предназначена для тухлых, блядь, понтов, нахуй.
Why would the U.S. do this? The crisis in Ukraine is the fault of the West. Look, you have been brainwashed to fear Russia, painting Russians as devils. Russia's not a threat, except when we made it a threat.
Russia being surrounded by U.S. and NATO bases.
People understand that, but the name of the game has nothing to do with Ukraine. It's to use Ukraine to, as the Secretary of Defense said, weaken Russia. The President of the United States has said, is to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia.
We will not make provocations, but we will not flinch from provocations. The Chinese people cannot remain silent, and Chinese government cannot simply sit idly by. Chinese people are the most friendly people in the world. Aggressiveness, assertiveness is not our tradition. Invasion or the pursuit of hegemony definitely is not our DNA. China is now focusing on outdoing ourselves. We want to build the prosperity pie even bigger and also divide them fairly.
Win-win, 公赢 is what they would say in China, is still very much used, but certainly we don't hear that terminology in Washington being used anymore. Many Chinese elites, they are not convinced commitments or statements made by President Biden that the U.S. is not supportive of Taiwan independence are true, but that really the U.S. is supporting Taiwan independence implicitly through other actions. China is very upset. China feels shafted, feels disrespected. The U.S. is saying one thing, but we think that the U.S. is doing another thing.
That China is the big winner. The Americans have foolishly driven the Russians into the arms of the Chinese. This is manna from heaven for the Chinese. Oh, baby. As long as the Russians don't lose, and as long as the war continues, is good news for Beijing. The dream of many people in Washington. What the Americans are going to do is they're going to win in Ukraine, they're going to finish off the Russians, and then the Americans are going to be free to go to East Asia and strengthen Taiwan's defenses, and Taiwan will remain a quasi-independent state forever. But what's happened here as a result of the Ukraine war is that it's almost impossible for the United States to fully pivot to East Asia.